Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and today we have got another showdown for you. This time we are going to be comparing the Marineland Penguin 350 to the Aquaclear 70. We're going to see which one comes out on top, so stay tuned. Alright everybody, so a couple things before we get started. Thing number one is we are comparing the Marineland Penguin 350 to the Aquaclear 70. However, if you have two comparably equipped Marineland and Aquaclear filters, I think this comparison will hold through for all of the rest of the comparisons that we'll do. The second thing, if you've got experience with both the Marineland and or the Aquaclears, leave that in the comments section below. Which one do you like? Which one have you had problems with? Or which one's been working great for you? But I think we can all agree on one thing. Let's keep the comments respectful. After all, big picture, we're just talking about aquarium hang on the back filters. It's not some world-changing topic that we're dealing with here, so just remember what they are. We're just discussing Marineland and Aquaclear filters, and it's really not the most important issue on the face of the earth, so let's keep the comments respectful. Alright, so there's a number of things that we're going to look at when we compare the two. I want to look at the size of the filter compartments, how easy it is to change the filter media itself. We're going to look at the noise levels, the cost. We'll take a look at how easy they are to maintain, and we'll also talk about any potential issues that are out there for both of the filters. And so I think that will give us a pretty thorough background on each of them. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so what I have here, this is the Aquaclear 70. It pumps 300 gallons per hour and it is rated up to 70 gallons. Now, this thing, very simple construction. You've got the lid, and then inside there is a compartment here, and we've got the basket that will hold all of our filter media. So it is relatively straightforward to put the filter media in. Now, when it comes to these things, the compartment size, I think that is one of the most important things when it comes to any filtration, because the compartment size is going to dictate how much media you can put in the filter, therefore how much surface area you have for microbes to grow and to do the nitrogen cycle, ammonia to nitrite, nitrite to nitrate. Also, if we're looking for mechanical filtration, the compartment size is going to be super important, because that's going to determine how much filter floss or sponges or biomedia that we can put in this filter. Alright, so what is the size of this compartment? It's about 5.5 inches wide. It's about 5 3/8 inches front to back, and it's about 6 inches deep, and that's going to give us right around 177 to 178 square inches of filter media. Alright, so that's not too bad. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the Marineland Penguin 350 and see how that compares. Alright everybody, so what I have here, this is the Marineland 350. Now this filter, in terms of its throughput, you're going to get about 350 gallons per hour, and it's rated up to about a 75 gallon tank. Now when we take the lid off here, what we've actually got two compartments, and these two compartments, side to side, each compartment is about 5 3/4. It's only 2 3/4 deep, or front to back, and then about 7 inches total depth. Now, with that, if you add those two together, we get about 212 square inches for media. So the Marineland filter is going to give you a little bit more space in terms of how much media you can put in these filters, just because you've got two sides for the compartments. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the filter media itself. In this case, I think both filters, it's even, and here's why. For any hang on the back filter, any of them, you can use your own filter media. I've got a video that I've done on how to save money using filter floss, bulk filter floss. I will put that in the upper right hand corner for you, so you can check that out. But if that's the case for the sponges, for filter floss, for bio rings, all that stuff, you can buy that in bulk. I would recommend never buying the filter cartridges for any hang on the back filter. That's where all the cost is. Go out, buy your own in bulk, and you're going to save a lot of money over time. Now, when it comes to changing the filter media, I would say that both of them, it's relatively easy. So for the Aquaclears, they've got this little basket thing that pulls out. For me, I find this slightly annoying, because if you've got like bio ball bag in here or something, sometimes that will kind of fall out of this thing as you're pulling it out, and the next thing you know, you've got a mess on top of your tank. But for the most part, it's relatively easy to get the media into and out of this filter. For the Marineland, it's equally as easy. If you've got loose floss in here, maybe a sponge, you just pull that right out of both sides. So I would say for both of them, in terms of just the general maintenance, they are relatively easy filters to maintain. Now, when it comes to actually maintaining the filter itself, this is where I think there's a big difference. Now, with the Aquaclears, one of the problems that we've had with these filters is every single time we unplug this filter, when we would do tank cleaning, so if we're going past the intake, when the water level is going down past the intake, of course you've got to shut your hang on the back filter off because you don't want it to run dry. That could burn out the motor. The problem that we were having with the Aquaclears is every time we did that, without fail, every single time, the filter would not restart on its own, and so we had to take this pump off, we had to clean out the pump, and that was twice a week. So we were maintaining this thing quite a bit. The filter, the tank that this filter was on was very heavily stocked. They both were. They're on in a Pleco 40-gallon breeder. There's 100 and something Plecos in there and some cichlids, so it's a very heavily stocked tank. So they're really getting their work here. But this is one where it never ever restarts when we unplug it and try to plug it back in again. So that's one issue here. This, I think, requires a lot of maintenance just to keep it up and running. Now, for the Marineland, we very rarely ever have that issue. And we've run these filters on a lot of our tanks over the last 9 or 10 years. And in terms of them not restarting after we unplug them to do general tank maintenance, I can pretty much count on one hand the number of times that's happened where we've had to actually go through and do maintenance on the pump itself. But these things, generally speaking, as long as there's water in them, and of course that can be a problem with any filter, the back needs to be filled with water if you're going to be starting these things up after unplugging them. But as long as there's water in them, these things generally just restart for us. So I would say that is definitely an advantage to these filters. They don't tend to be, at least for us, as finicky when we unplug them and then try to restart them again. All right, when it comes to noise, I would say they are very similar. I think the Marineland Penguin 350s are quieter, at least when you pull them out of the package. However, over time, I would say that for the most part, the noise levels are going to be very comparable. The one problem the Aquaclear has is actually got two problems, really. That lid, even when new, never fits on very snug, and so there's constant, just a little bit of rattle there. And then one of the mechanisms that the Aquaclear uses so that you know the media is it's ready to be changed is that compartment will raise up above the edge of the tank. So what will happen is this part here with media in it will start to come up like this. When that happens, of course, the lid that's on the top is now up here and you get a lot of noise. Now obviously that's not necessarily a bad thing. The filter is telling you, hey, you know what, this needs to be changed. The media needs to be changed, but it makes a fair amount of noise because that lid never really does fit nice and snug on these filters. All right, now when it comes to issues, every piece of equipment is going to have some type of an issue. When it comes to the Marinelands, I would say the biggest issue that we have with these bio rings here, we haven't really talked about them, but the idea is that these are going to spin as the water flows through, and all this additional surface area is a nice place for bacteria to grow, for additional biological filtration. The problem that we have, and almost everybody has, is after a while these things kind of get gummed up, they get dirty, and they stop spinning. Now, I've mentioned this before, we did an unboxing of this filter and we did an unboxing of the Aquaclear, and I'll put those cards in the upper right hand corner in case you want to get more information. But the problem with these is they do eventually stop spinning. I don't really care. I don't rely on these bio rings to do, or these bio wheels to do much of anything. So if they stop spinning, it really isn't a big deal because of the vast majority of the surface areas in these compartments anyway. So if they stop spinning, so what? But that is a potential issue when it comes to these things. Also, if they are dirty, if the impellers are dirty, yeah, you're going to get a decent amount of noise out of these. But other than that, we've had really good luck with these filters. Now, when it comes to the Aquaclears, one of the issues that we've had is, I've already mentioned, and that is every single time we do maintenance on a tank and that water level goes below the intake, we have to unplug this filter, it never restarts. That is a major pain. It makes cleaning that tank just not enjoyable. The other issue that we had with this filter, and again, this might be just unique to us, and so that's why I would like, if you guys have had different experience with these filters, please share that in the comments section below. But in the 4 months that we had this particular filter, and we've had others in the past, but for this one, we came downstairs on 5 different occasions to find this not running. On 2 occasions, I actually saw it happen, and that was the power flickered for a millisecond. Not even enough to change any clock times. Everything else was fine. All the other hang on the back filters that we run in our fish room were fine. And we've got about 5 or 6 total. They were all working fine, never missed a beat, but this thing shut off. and it did it to us 5 times over 4 months, and that's just something I can't have when I come downstairs and find this thing off. Now, it could have been off 5 times, maybe the power flickered just a little bit, but none of the other filters that we have, we've got Marinelands, we've got some top fins, we've got some off brands, they were all fine. This thing was not. So that's an issue for me. Now, when it comes to long-term reliability, for us, again, we've had really good luck with the Marineland Penguin filters. We've had them on our tanks for 9, 10 years, in some cases even more, and we've only had one go out on us. So they've been workhorses for us. We've had them in tanks with sand, with gravel, super heavily stocked tanks. Right now, we've got them on the 125 and the 150. Those are very heavily stocked tanks. We've got them in our Mbuna tank with sand, the Pleco tank with sand, and they just seem to be running through that all really, really well. Now, of course, let's talk about cost, because this is a big consideration as well. The Aquaclear 70 at the time of this video, everywhere I checked, was roughly $50. When I looked at the prices for the Marineland 350, even if you go on Amazon, they're about $26. So for half the price, you can get a Marineland filter, and again, for us, the reliability has been better than the Aquaclears. So that is certainly something to consider. I will put affiliate links in the description below so that you can check both of those out in case you need a new hang on the back filter. All right, now let's talk performance. One of the reasons why we stopped using the Aquaclear 70 is it never really did make the tank clear. So that was a big problem for us. The tank was still cloudy. Again, it's a very, very heavily stocked tank. There aren't too many instances where I think people are going to be stocking a tank as heavily as we did with that 40-gallon breeder, with that 100 Plecos and the half a dozen Metroclima cichlids. But it wasn't making the water look very nice. We had a smaller Marineland Penguin filter on that tank beforehand, and that was keeping the tank looking pretty good. So we went back to the Marineland, and sure enough, the tank is looking a little bit better now than it was with the Aquaclear. That tank is never going to be crystal clear just because of how heavily it's stocked and the amount of Plecos that we have in there, but the water quality, I think, is better with the Marineland than it was with the Aquaclear. All right, so which one's better? For us, the Marinelands have been more reliable. They're easier to use, they're easier to maintain, they're easier to get the media in and out. It's a lot easier when we're maintaining tanks. We've got to shut the filters down because the water level goes lower. We know they're going to restart, so we don't have that annoyance once or twice a week. Obviously, the cost is something that comes into play, with the Marinelands costing about half as much as the Aquaclears. That's certainly something to consider. The Aquaclears, at least on the internet, have a decent following. They have a decent reputation. It's just, for us personally, we haven't seen that quality, and the ease of use for us hasn't been there with the Aquaclears. All right, everybody, so I hope you found that useful. Again, it's just a comparison between the two filters. They're very, very closely rated in terms of gallons per hour, with the Marineland being at 350 gallons per hour, the Aquaclear at 300. They're rated similarly for the same size tanks, 75 gallons for the Marineland, 70 for the Aquaclear. Of course, that gallons really doesn't mean a whole lot because it depends on the stocking levels of your tank, how much you're feeding. That is a much more important factor than the actual size of the tank itself. So if you like this video, found it helpful, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.